SGC here, and we're back for a movie review. Blame. Directed by Hiroyuki Seshita. This is an anime film adaptation of the manga of the same name, which was created by Tsutomu Nihei, and it had a 10-volume run back in 98 to 2003. So what's this movie about? Well, long story short, it's basically about a group of survivors in a post-apocalyptic dystopian world where robots are out to get them, and they meet this random guy that sort of defies all logic of what they feel the robots are supposed to kill him, but they don't sense him, and he has this crazy gun, and it's crazy. And super long story short, it's just basically that humanity used to work with robots, and then all of a sudden a virus kicked in, and the robots sort of saw the humans as a virus, as the thing that needed cleansed, and they start hunting humans down. And at the same time, the multi-level city structure replicated itself infinitely in all directions, and it pushed humanity sort of out to the fringes type of thing, and they can no longer go back to the core where they can control the robots. And that's sort of the backdrop of the story, where this group of people called Electro-Fishers, they have to fight against the Safeguard, which is the robots, sort of their name. And then you meet this guy called Killy, and then they're like, we need food, and Killy needs to go somewhere. And Killy said he can get food for us. Well, we'll go with Killy, and everyone's happy. And obviously things go down, and that's basically the entire film. So what did I think? Well, first off, I read everything after Blame. Blame came out, I never got into it, but I always been meaning to get into it, but just never got around to it. But I read Bao Mega, that came out after Blame, and then also Knights of Sidonia, which also came after Blame. And also, the director worked on Knights of Sidonia, the anime series, and also the film. And the guy that wrote the screenplay also worked on Knights of Sidonia, and Polygon Pictures, the studio, also worked on Knights of Sidonia. So if you dig Knights of Sidonia, you might want to pick this one and check it out. But the biggest gripe I have to get out of the way is that there's a lot of things you don't care about. The pacing here is atrocious because there's hints of action, and then there's a lot of standing around and just talking, a lot of exposition dialogue, and it was just, you didn't care about anything. I mean, the world was interesting. Chibo, the cyborg you meet later, is interesting. You don't know what's up with her. She's a scientist. Killy, you don't know anything about. He's interesting, or curious and mysterious. But at the same time, with those electro-fisherman people, it's just like, you don't really care about them. And when things go down, you're just like, I don't care. I mean, there's one scene where someone dies and someone else is in shock that they're dead. And he's just like, oh my goodness, they can't be dead. Ah! And it's more frustration and just, oh my goodness, this is just poorly written. Versus, oh my goodness, I feel empathy. I connect with this guy. He just lost his best friend. Oh my gosh, like, but you don't. You don't. It just feels very forced, and this movie is an hour and a half, and for it to not have any characters that you care about establish with that time frame, it's just like, what were you doing with your time? So basically there's a lot of standing around and talking. So if you're not familiar with Polygon Pictures, how I describe them is that with action sequences, they're like 3D models on a 2D backdrop. The action sequences are great. When there's a lot of quick movements, it's great. And it's more animated than your typical anime, whereas it feels like it's just a 2D drawing that's moving animated in a 2D background. Here it's like a 3D model on a 2D background. That's how I would describe it, hence polygon-ish. When they're all talking, that's when it feels kind of weird because it's sort of 3D but not. And also 2D, but not. So it's this like uncanny valley of just like, so what kind of art style is this? I watched Knights of Sidonia through the entire first season, and I enjoyed it. There was build-up, characters were great. So there was no writing issues there. But I feel like the screenwriter here didn't deliver in terms of character development and just story beats that made you care for the story. And also the Electric Fisherman has a very weird skill set. They have these helmets that protect them. I mean, I greatly enjoy the animation for the helmets because it just opens up and then there's another piece that opens, like that subtle animation. I dug that. But the skill set was weird because they have these harpoon weapons where it's 2 shots at a time and you have to reload. And it's fine on its own. But once you see who they're fighting and what they're fighting, it's just like, how did they even think that this was a good competition? Like, so when Killy does his thing, the power ratio difference is just overwhelming, and it just feels like they're humans and these are cyborgs machines. It's definitely the vibe you get when you watch Transformers and the humans are just running around shooting machine guns at a freaking transformer, and it's just like, hey, tickle me here and there type of thing. Like, the humans weren't a threat, and definitely electro fishermen don't feel like a threat, so they don't bring anything to the table when they're fighting the safeguard machine robots. But Killy's gun's cool. The animation is cool. So yeah, animation. Fighting, when it's speeding up, when there's a lot of action, it's great. When it's slow and just talking, it is horrendous. Especially the fact that the camera movement is just really boring, and there's just pans, and there's a lot of also scenery panning. I mean, Nihei is known for crazy drawings of sceneries of like mega structures and all that, and I give them props for sort of capturing that vibe. But when your entire movie sort of just pans all the time, it's just really boring. And at the end, someone shows up and kills a lot of people, and then for some reason doesn't finish her job and calls in the safeguard. That also felt weird. It's just like, why would you call in your thugs to finish it when you can just kill all of them? So that was like, So granted, I don't know the actual story, like how this was adapted from the manga. I mean, I probably will enjoy the manga a lot more because there's just more time. I mean, condensing 10 volumes of story into an hour-and-a-half movie it shouldn't be done. I feel like they should have adapted something smaller in terms of just the size, made the story more organic so it feels like you care for these people. Killy is mysterious, sure, but you don't really care for him. Shibo-san is this mysterious scientist, and you also don't care. They're just mysterious, and you're like, oh, I wish I knew more. But that's it. You just wish, but you don't get what you want. And then with the electro fishermen, there's a lot of talking, but it's like not anything compelling, nor do you care about their interactions. So there's a lot of not caring going on in this movie. And it's just too bad, because I feel like with the world, it is really interesting of how this society become like this, and then all of a sudden Killy shows up, and then Shibo-san's just there. So it is, the things are there, but it just didn't work here, and that's just too bad. And definitely, I mean, the screenwriter sort of probably adapted the way he wrote sort of Knights of Sidonia. There is a Knights of Sidonia movie, I haven't seen that, so I don't know if he does that one like here, because if he does, maybe it won't be as bad because you have an entire like 2 seasons worth of characters to look forward to then the movie, so you know what you're going into. But here it's like, if you don't know the manga, there's no anime. I mean, there is a six episode OVA, but this is like from the beginning story, so I don't know what's up with that. So all in all, it visually looked interesting, but it's not filmed in a way where it's just super flashy and just, wow, you can go in and just watch it for the visuals. Like, even that, I don't think saves the hour and a half of your time. I mean, Killy's gun is cool, but that's basically it. Some fight sequences are cool, but that's like, I don't know, 5 minutes of a hour and a half movie. Not really worth your time, I would say. It's like watching Ip Man for that I Want to Fight 10, that is worth, but not here. Anyway, so that's it. So this is basically how I felt. Nothing really to care about. Characters could have been a lot stronger. Character arcs could have been stronger. Everything could have been stronger. Direction and the writing. So yeah, that's it. If you have seen Blame, leave your comments down below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And that is it for this movie review for Blame. Out.